So you guys know that I love books, and you also probably know if you've been watching these videos that I'm decluttering not only books, but a lot of stuff, clothes, all sorts of things, because I want a freer space in my life in order to follow that dream. So I've been taking books to the book box pretty much every morning. I go for a morning walk, which I'm about to do now, and there was a book I was about to declutter, and I just want to take a quick second to talk to you about this book and a few other books and just to discuss whether it's really all that it's cracked up to be, the power of positive thinking. Now, this has been on my bookshelf. I've had many copies of this on my bookshelf for like a quadrillion years. This one's written in 1952 by Dr. Norman Vincent Peale. And I don't know what I was thinking, that maybe just by it being on my bookshelf, I would be a more positive thinker. I've delved into it a few times, never got all the way through it until I decided I am reading this book so that I can really declutter it, because I find it hard to get rid of books if I don't declutter them. And you know what? It does have a few good ideas in it. Not as really life-changing as they make it out to be. And a little too religious-based, a lot of quotes from the Christian Bible in here that I could have lived without. This famous book will show you how to have faith in yourself and good things happen to you, blah, blah, blah. It's just a bunch of stories about prominent businessmen. Well, it's the time it was written in. Yeah, I'm over it. Think and Grow Rich, another one that most quadrillionaires say was life-changing for them. Yeah, it's a good book, but I kind of think, the guy ended up not rich. Let's put it that way. Look up Napoleon Hill's. Now, it doesn't mean that because the messenger didn't end up that successful in life that you won't end up that successful in life, because most of the people who recommend this book are quadrillionaires, like I said. I know Dan Kennedy's a big fan of this book, and several other gurus that I've followed. It's good. I've read it several times. People say they read it every year. I think I can live without reading it next year. I don't know. Maybe I'll read it one more time before I declutter it. The Power of Positive Thinking, I just finished. Think and Grow Rich was not so recent. Napoleon Hill also wrote Grow Rich with Peace of Mind, Grow Rich through Succeed and Grow Rich through Persuasion. I think I had another one about Grow Rich and Don't Worry. I don't know. He was just, it was the chicken soup for the soul of his time. Believe and Achieve, W. Clement Stone, all these guys refer to him, the self-help gurus. This one looks like it has not been read by me, so I'll put that on the read list. This one was a famous book when I was a kid. I think I got it from my parents' bookshelf, and I tried to read it, but it's a hard read. They make it look like it's a popular, like for the general public. But I think, yeah, he was a prominent California psychiatrist, Eric Byrne. I think it's kind of hard to read. So I did have 2 copies of this. I'm now down to 1. I might release this one. I can't even say it. Psycho-Cybernetics. I know Dan Kennedy's a big fan of this. He even did an updated version of this. For me, again, I read it. For me, the most interesting part of this book, and the part that I remember, is what he says about, so he was a plastic surgeon. That's what's interesting about this. And I guess his whole point was, he said that, he could change people's faces, but he couldn't necessarily change their outlook. And that sometimes the face being changed the person's whole life, but sometimes it didn't. When this something else was reconstructed, the person himself had changed. When this something else was not reconstructed, the person remained the same, although the physical features might be radically changed. And so he got to the idea that, self-esteem is more important than your face. This book, The Science of Getting Rich, apparently was what inspired the movie The Secret, which is the only reason I heard of it and the only reason I started reading it. Read it. Yeah, I don't know. Now, okay, so I told you about the books that didn't so much do it for me, but I have to share with you a few books. And why am I sharing these? Because as you follow that dream, you really got to get your stardom state of mind going, right? You got to get your head in the game. Books that I found really not on most people's recommend list that I found very helpful. This book. This is a book that I've read several times, and I cannot get rid of it because I know, look, it's falling apart. I know I have to reread it again and again and again. It's called The Comfort Trap, Or What If You're Riding a Dead Horse? It's by Judith Sills, PhD. She also wrote a book called Excess Baggage. I should probably read that too. And then on the back it says, Are you stuck? Blah, blah, blah. It says, the horse is dead and it's time to get off. I'm still on this horse, several horses that I should be getting off. So I am totally keeping this book, and I highly recommend it to you. Another book that I highly recommend to you is a book by Dr. Harriet Lerner. I think she's a doctor. Yeah, PhD. Harriet Goldhor Lerner. And it's called The Dance of Anger. I've also read The Dance of Intimacy. She's written several other very, very, very insightful books. And the premise of this book is that if you change your part in the dance, then the person you're dealing with will also change his or her part in the dance, which is really an interesting way to go about it, right? An interesting way to think about it. This one says it's an insightful and prescriptive guide that shows women how to turn anger into a constructive force for reshaping their lives. I'll take a dozen, please. I'm rereading that. This one's kind of cute. It's not like a read book from beginning to end. It's called Great Failures of the Extremely Successful, Remarkable People and Their Remarkable Stories as Told to Steve Young. I think we should all read about hugely successful people that weren't initially all that successful. This is a good book to just keep around if you're feeling down and lonely and out and like you're not succeeding, and whatever it is, if you need inspiration, just open it randomly to any page and just get some of this advice. I mean, some of it's a little cliche. What does not destroy me makes me stronger. Yeah, okay, whatever. Don't worry about those who jump off the bandwagon at the first bump in the road. Who needs the extra weight? Yeah, I don't know. This is a book I'm keeping for now. Now, another book, I don't actually have it here. I think I have it somewhere else, but I just brought this to represent it. Robert Kiyosaki's Rich Dad, Poor Dad, I think is a foundational book. I've read it several times. And this one also, Cash Flow Quadrant. This is the one that followed it. He wrote these books to promote a game that he made. It was like a $200 board game about the psychology of becoming rich. I don't think of this like in terms of riches. I think of it in terms of, he talks about building assets. Again, in the first book especially, Think and Grow, no, Rich Dad, Poor Dad. Read this book. I gave it to, or the one that this represents, and also this one, but read Rich Dad, Poor Dad. I gave it to my daughters to read. I read it. I kept several copies of that. That's a keeper. And lastly for today, the 4-Hour Workweek. This is also a book I've read many times. It inspired me to, now I don't believe you for a second, Tim Ferriss, that you work 4 hours a week. I think you work a quadrillion hours a week between you and I. It says, warning, do not read this book unless you want to quit your job. Okay. It says he went from 80 hours a week to 4 hours a week. Don't believe you, but it's a good book. It inspired me to take a trip with one of my daughters to Spain and Portugal many years ago, and it's inspired a lot of other trips, a lot of other things. I would suggest the 4-Hour Workweek. What books have I missed? What books would you, recommend? What books would you recommend? They're not all that they're cracked up to be. Really want to know. Tell us in the comments below. Hit the like, hit the subscribe, and I will see you in the next one. 2 feet out, and keep reading. I love reading.